I'm getting money, never to the front run. Slime the nigga doing when the sun up. I got a Glock, knock a nigga longer.
Welcome to another episode. Damn, now I'm fucking up. Welcome to the first episode of Chopping Up with Visionary of 2026. I'm here with.
It's Native. How y'all doing today, man?
How you doing today?
I'm chilling, man. It's been a crazy year so far, but I'm chilling. I'm happy today. I'm happy I got to chill with my boy Mike. It's a long overdue interview with my man, so I'm happy to see y'all today.
Like 7 years, man.
I know. It's crazy.
Just to start off the topic question. You used to play soccer, correct?
I did. Yeah. So that's so crazy. Yeah, I used to play soccer. I started off when I was like maybe 6. I played at MHS. I was like one of the captains on the team, and later on I played at 1 year at New England College. We won the championship, our conference championship, and I got to play with some really talented guys. So that was a really cool experience.
Got you. And how did you get from soccer to photography and songwriting and producing?
So I left school. I took a gap year when I was maybe like the first year after college. We won the championship, and I decided that I just wanted to pursue other things. I ended up getting into like a really bad accident. I lost my vision in my left eye. So going back to school kind of like I put back on the back burner, and I just was able to pour like a lot more into the art, and that's kind of. I was doing it in college, in high school, but I really was able to, that gap year I had taken before like the accident, I was able to really like lock in and kind of hone in on my skills, for sure.
That's great. And you started producing in 2014, I believe, correct?
2014, yeah.
Right. So with that, how did you evolve? Like, where do you believe you evolved the most between 2014 and now, the beginning of 2026?
That's a good question. I think like the biggest thing was in 2014 to like that 2016, like still in high school, I didn't have anybody influencing me, but I learned a lot from my friends. So when you talk about like the transition and how I kind of like got better, I think 2020, like COVID, was when I really was like, yo, I think I could do this good. Like especially with the beat making, I thought that like the beats were just getting better at that time, and I think a lot of learning, like I said, from my friends, my boy Sensei Batch, Spray Paint 7, Dax Gotti, for the guys, and my boy Senpai Quincy. They all taught me like different tips and tricks with FL, and I think like when we really locked in during that COVID, you couldn't do shit. That's when I think I kind of like got better with it, to get here now. That answers your question.
Got you.
Yeah.
And your first solo project was released in 2018, Clouds, I believe. And that was before you adjusted your name to what it looks like now. But along with that adjustment of the name came an adjustment within the sound as well. So with that whole COVID thing and, you know, the transition with the evolution of your sound, I guess, how did you get comfortable working with other people, and how did you find like-minded people to work with and continue working with them?
Yeah, with Clouds, it wasn't the best tape to me, um, but I think it was a stepping stone, and really the purpose of that beat tape was so other people could be interested in working with me. Um, and I think what made it easier was I kind of forced people to like listen to my music, especially like rappers that were like hear maybe like linking my friend to hear his beats, and I'll be like, yo, I got some beats, like, and I kind of wanted to make an emphasis on like working with rappers. I didn't make a lot of beats that were predicated to like the fast tempo shit, so I knew that if I was gonna work with people, it would have to be a little more intentional and targeted. So I tried to just reach out to like people that I felt I could trust with my beats, because I don't really send beats out. So yeah, that's kind of how I got comfortable. And once I started working with like my friend Demi and my boy Eagz, David, those guys, I think I just got more comfortable reaching out to other people and working with them. So everything is still in house a lot of the time. I don't really think I reach out as much as I should.
Got you.
Yeah, it's still something I'm working on.
But it's also not a completely a bad thing, because you have albums like Small Steps, in which you are integrating older artists that you've worked with and newer artists to show that you have some kind of growth there.
Mm-hmm.
But with that album, that's also your most experimental in terms of just the type of production that was on there.
Yeah.
Because before that, you had stuff with Metal Gear and those fast, harder beats, but then you kind of like showed that you were more on like the softer side with the R&B samples and everything like that. So bringing that up, what got you into just that tone, that sound right there with the R&B samples?
Life experiences, for sure. I remember making Small Steps, and I was like, it was probably like the worst year, one of the worst years for me up until this point. Like, I didn't have a good year, and I just remember being like, I was going through like relationship issues. I was going through moving, like adjusting to like living with different people, and I felt like alone. So when I would be making the beats for Small Steps, it was all a feeling. It was never like an intentional, like I'm gonna pick this soul sample or I'm gonna pick this '90s R&B sample, like a Jamie Foxx or Anita Baker. Like, it was just kind of like, yo, this is how I'm feeling right now, so I'm gonna make music that matches that, and everything kind of worked out cohesively for Small Steps because, like you said, I was able to incorporate like new artists. Like I worked with like Bleak G1, Chin Rochester, who's brothers with Jacob Rochester. He's a great artist.
And that's Phil's cousin.
It's Phil's cousin. And when I was making Small Steps, I didn't want it to be like normal, like, like most of the stuff I was doing up until then, I thought was pretty predictable. But Small Steps, I felt like was something that I didn't really care to listen to it. That was also another thing that kind of helped me with the workflow. I didn't care who listened to it, who tapped in. Like, it was a project that was for people that have been with me since I was making Clouds.
Got you.
Essentially. So.
And that's a good transition into my next question. So going back to Clouds, you also brought up Sensei Batch, one of your man's personal friends, I'm assuming.
For sure.
So with that, he's featured on a lot of your music.
Yeah.
Especially going back to like Down on My Luck, which you deleted off Apple Music. That was one of my favorite songs by you and him. Is there any type of connection to where you can maybe do a collab tape? You've collaborated with everyone else,
but
in terms of exactly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's weird that it happens like that. Like, sometimes with the music, you have like artists in mind. Like, I'll start the year off thinking like, yo, I'm gonna do a tape with this person, usually being my friends. And Trevor is like someone that, whether or not we make a tape together, which I think is coming in the near future, I think that I'm always trying to get him incorporated into the process because he taught me how to make beats. Like him and Spray Paint 7 and Dax Gotti, they taught me how to produce.
Got you.
And I'll forever be indebted to them in that way. So Trevor could always have a spot on albums whenever he wants.
Yeah, because the last time he was featured was on Dodie B Taste 2, which was just last year, but he's in so much of your discography, I figured, why not do a collab tape with him?
Yeah. One day, I hope so. And Trevor was one of the producers on that album. I don't think he rapped on it, but I was trying to get Trevor to. We're working on stuff right now, but me and Sensei Bash got a lot of stuff in the cut. We just gotta refine it. Put it out.
And as someone that not only feeds artists beats, but you rap on your own things as well. So with the process, what's the difference between the two? Creating something that's intended for somebody else's style versus your own?
That's a good question. So when I make beats for people, I kind of already know that I kind of already get a sense of like what they want. I'll do research and I'll listen to their old projects and I'll see where I could help refine what they're doing. So it's easier for me to tap into that. like I'm gonna make this beat for this person because, or this type of beat for them because this is what they've been working towards, and make it be so long. It's not really hard to like challenge myself to kind of make music cater to the artist I'm working with, because that's what the producer should do. They should make music that's catered to the artist. For me, I'm realizing that it's easy to rap on my own beats, but I don't necessarily like rapping on my own beats. If a lot of the project that I just dropped last year, my first solo rap album, a lot of the beats I didn't produce. I find it a challenge, and I find that I go harder on other people's beats because it's just I love beats. So being able to, sometimes you'll hear the same beats you're making for so long, you're like, I can't do it. But then you'll get inspired by like a person that just sent you a whole pack, and I think that's kind of where I kind of differentiate the two. When I'm making music for myself, I'm just looking for stuff that I feel I don't want to make. So, yeah.
Got you. And moving along back to the R&B, I kind of want to dive deeper into that. So you have 3 albums centered around R&B type production. You have Here and Now, which was released in 2022, and then you have Be Still My Heart, side A and B.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I could start off with, how did those projects come to fruition?
Here and Now was like a love letter to like my younger self. That was like that's like my favorite project I've ever dropped, because it was my first, like Clouds, it was like the first solo project I did. Up until that point, I was doing collaborations and placements for people, but I didn't put out something that I thought was like, yo, this represents me and who I am. So Here and Now started off with just kind of the first project being about like what I want to represent out there. Transition to Be Still My Heart. I kind of wanted to do like a little series. I was watching the movie City of Gods, and I got really inspired, and I just started making beats kind of for the movie, if I was to like be like a sound director on the movie.
Yeah.
But that slowly transitioned to like, one of my favorite scenes of that movie is when they're at the beach and the boy is with the girl, and he has this camera and he's excited and he likes the girl or whatever, and she kisses him on the cheek, but then she goes back to her boyfriend and kisses him on the lips, and now he's taking a picture of them. Kind of the story of my life. So like in a sense, like I really related to that, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start a little series. And the Be Still My Heart part, Be Still My Heart just means to be calm. Like it's another word for saying like, yo, be calm. And that's kind of where the title came from, and the inspo came from that. And yeah, I think those 2 projects are like probably one of my favorites that I've made up until this point.
Yeah, I had to ask you about those because those feel like, I mean, not to say that the other projects you've dropped don't come from the heart, but that one felt very personal in the way that I feel like maybe that those 2 projects took the most time to make. So I had to ask you about those and see where your head was at with those. And then just the way you flip R&B samples, whether it's an aggressive beat or something more on the calm side, which one of those is like a little bit more difficult to create?
I think making calm beats is difficult. I feel like, especially now, like people like the 808s, they like the 150 to 170 BPM beats, especially out here in New York. They like high tempo beats. I think if you could make a beat tape and you could have the listener tune into like your slow beats that kind of really take time to understand, and like you gotta go through all of them as a listener, and they're in tune, I think that speaks volumes to how you have range. I don't think it's hard to make trap beats, nor do I think it's hard to make like up tempo R&B beats, because you're just essentially putting trap drums on soul beats or soul samples. I think if you're able to challenge yourself and work up to the point where you could do both. I enjoy the other part of it. The fast beats are really like what I like. I like the slower beats that are a little more intentional to make. It might, and some people would think it's easier to make those slower beats, the lo-fi beats, but it's hard because it's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't like want to listen to that shit.
It's crazy that you say that because you have a way of kind of mixing both in a way. Like for instance, the beat "Carry On" off of side B, like it feels like a soft drill beat, but you can also hear somebody singing on it, and like So I don't know. You just have an interesting, special way of flipping R&B beats, and I just wanted to touch base with you on that real quick. Now, 2025, I wanted to talk about Dog Day Afternoon with you and Eagz580.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dog Day Afternoon is one of my favorite films. Al Pacino, love Al Pacino.
Yeah, great film.
How did y'all come up with such a great concept for the album to match sort of like the vibe of the film?
It's a lot of help of Machine 6, David Beatty. He's one of my close friends, and he honestly came up with the concept. And because I hadn't watched the movie up until the point, and I think Eagz is the type of artist where, like, if I could picture him in any movie, like, I could see him playing the role that Al Pacino had, like just doing whatever means necessary to get what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's essentially like what, like, the concept of it started off was. Like, Eagz is so hungry, and he's constantly working and constantly like making new music, different sounds, and he just kind of has this, like, by any means necessary mentality to music, which made the project really easy to make. I'll say that. Like, we didn't spend a lot of time writing and sitting in the studio going through beats. It was so simple with him. Like, he knew what he wanted, he knew what he liked, and it made my job like really, really easy. And I just can't thank him enough for that.
All right. And shout out Eagz.
Shout out Eagz.
With all that being said, though, can you see maybe a Dog Day Afternoon Part 2 or another film, to do a concept album for with him?
Yeah. The thing with the Part 2s I feel like those are harder to make. The second ones, because it's like, like, how do we follow up to this, like, time and place thing that we did, because now we're kind of like intentionally making something that's a Part 2, and it needs to be better than Part 1. So I find that difficult, but as like a producer, because I think the easiest way to make that Part 2 project, or even like going back to the collab project with Trev, is just like the time and place of like what we're doing, the link ups, the chemistry building and stuff like that. So I think, to answer your question, I could see a Dog Day Afternoon too, but I think me and Eagz got other things we're gonna work on prior to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. And moving on to your final project of 2025, Leave Me Here to Rest. Perfect title to the album. That was your busiest year. 4 projects, 2 of them being collaborative. The first thing I do want to say about this project is typically when artists try to mix a whole bunch of different types of styles in, it feels like an extensive playlist, just songs that they put together.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it was like cohesive and intelligent in a way in which everything complemented one another. So how did that project come about, and how long did it take, and just go into it?
Yeah. So that project was dropped under an independent label I'm a part of in Minnesota called Paperjack Productions, which is ran by Soupy2K, which is a heavily influenced artist that helps me like get to where I'm going right now. I can't thank Soupy and everybody from Paperjack, the team, Triple Cast, Fatboy Jonesy, 4K Phil. Fatboy Jonesy and 4K Phil are Connecticut artists, but so it started off. I joined Paperjack Productions, I want to say 2024, maybe early 2023, but I didn't really get like my first start with them until 2024. So every time I would make music that's under Paperjack, I go out to Minnesota and like we sit in Colin's fucking studio and we just fucking work. And Colin, who's Soupy 2K, he really worked me. Like I remember the last time I went up there, it was just me and him. And I'm writing verses and he's making beats, we're going through beats, and I'm thinking like my verses are up to par, but he kept challenging my pen. Never had that happen. And it really made me understand that like I don't really know how to make songs like cohesively. And because like I kind of let him take the lead in a sense of like, yo, nah, this sounds good, no, this sounds good. It was very collaborative. Like I would say like he has like 50% to do with that project, but just nobody knows. He mixed the whole thing. He sourced the producers for me. I got obviously connects and shit like that, but it was like the first project as me as a rapper. And up until that point, I was supposed to do that in 2018, 2022, 2024. I was supposed to drop a album under Native, the rapper, but I think the way it happened was so like interesting because it was like the thing that I needed. Before that, I wasn't rapping. I was solely producing, and I would do features and stuff like that. But I wouldn't consider myself a rapper. He gave me the confidence, and like obviously the rest of the Paper Jack like under that label was just like, yo, you need to rap, bro. You need to do this. You need to put yourself out there as like a dual artist. And without them, without that team, without the label, that project doesn't happen. So that's kind of how it worked for me. It was just making that, and the way that I got connected to them was that I DJ'd for 4K Phil and Soupy at SOBs in 2021, and ever since that we've just been friends, and things just kind of went up from there. So a lot of that project was inspired by just like them helping me get back into like rapping. I can't thank them enough for that.
Gotcha. And there was another assessment that I had about the album. It kind of felt like the prelude to something bigger that's coming. And I wanted to ask if is that a fair assessment? Do you have?
Yeah, very, very, very fair assessment. One of the things I didn't like about the project was that I felt like there was a lot of songs that we left off that were good, but I think for the future listeners, you're going to hear a lot of like the stuff that I've been working on, more refined, more intentional on the second album. And for me, like doing this type of stuff, like the rapping is always like, it's very vulnerable for me. Like I don't like hearing myself on the mic. I don't think I'm the best with the pen. So the fact that people are even tuning in and like liking some of this shit is just like really crazy to me, because I was just under the impression I'd be making beats forever.
Yeah.
So back to what I originally said about the mixture of different sounds in there. When you're creating an album like that, how do you make it to where you're not doing too much? If that makes sense.
I'm the type of person that does too much. Sometimes I do a little bit. I'm overanalyzing the verses. I think with the help of your team. So if you're making an album, I would encourage people to have different listeners that obviously make music and know what the fuck they're talking about to help you weed out the things that you're overthinking. A lot of, like, there are songs like 5 Star on the album. At first I didn't like the song, but I was overthinking it and I was hearing it too much. And like having somebody that's like working with you, like, yo, take a week, don't listen to your album, come back, listen to it, and tell me how you felt. Having those people to kind of help you understand that like you're not gonna love everything, but don't overcomplicate it by just like scrapping everything and restarting. Cause I'll be doing that. Like I'll be on my like, yo, we got fuck this, like we gotta do this shit over again. So I would say like having people to tell me like, yo, no, bro, this is good, and like honest feedback helps me not overcomplicate things.
Got you.
Yeah. Hold on one second, cause I might have to.
We back. All right. So, just in terms of your rapping abilities, when did you become comfortable enough to put your shit on wax? You know what I mean, and push it out there.
When I was clicked up with Money is an Art, that was like my first rap collective, and I felt comfortable doing it. But listening back to it, I probably should have waited a little bit. But I really got comfortable when Trevor Sensei Batch dropped Batch Raps 4 Deluxe, and I felt like, if anything, I could be a feature artist, like a Nate Dogg or some shit.
Okay.
Like I was on that wave. Like maybe I'll just be like a producer slash feature artist. So like around like 2020, 2021 is when I felt comfortable putting the raps out. But I still didn't, in a sense of, I didn't put it on Instagram like that. I didn't promote it, you know. So honestly, maybe up until Leave Me Here, the rest was when I really, really felt like, yeah, I rap.
Gotcha.
Like comfortable in saying that. Yeah.
Okay. Moving along, kind of just I have a few miscellaneous questions in terms of your discography and your feelings towards your own music.
Yeah.
Be Still My Heart.
Yeah.
So I know that's your favorite album of yours, but which one do you believe may have the most replay value?
Out all my albums?
Mm-hmm. All bias aside.
Yeah. Yeah, beat tapes aren't for everybody. I think Dodie Meets Haze 2 has a lot of replay value.
Okay.
I also think Hear Me Now is like a good, if like you're like getting introduced to like what a beat tape is, I feel like Hear Me Now is good. Or yeah,
Here and Now.
Here and Now.
Yeah.
Cannot Hear Me Now.
Yeah, cause your shit with Wave Jones.
Yeah.
I forget what song it is. Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
Fire.
We're making a tape.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Place for Sale.
Please tell me Supernova's on it.
Yeah,
I like when y'all work together too.
Yeah, me and Nova, I love Nova and I love Wave, and I actually like I have a song with Nova. That's crazy because we haven't worked on shit since like 2023, but me and Wave we were working on a tape since like 2023, but like with anything, like it just takes time and timing. Like a lot of the time, like I'll be so antsy to get it out, and I'm ready. Like I got a tape with Mark of the Nine, like probably one of my favorite tapes right now that I haven't dropped. But I'm also an artist, so I realize that sometimes I just gotta let the artist let them hit me when they're ready to get stuff out.
Got you.
I think Wave is ready to get it out now, so look out for Place for Sale. An album by Wave Jones, produced by me. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fire.
Shout out Wave Jones. Shout out Supernova.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, a couple more questions, miscellaneous questions. What are some music things that are? Damn, I can't even talk. What inspires your sound in terms of things that are unrelated to music? So, like, is there films that might spark a creative thing within your music?
Yeah, 100%.
That was worded terribly, but you know what I mean.
Good. Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm trying to think of like a film I've recently watched. Spike Lee. She's Gotta Have It.
Okay.
Spike Lee's one of my favorite directors, but Spike Lee really knows how to captivate feelings for Black people. I think his films, and when I sit and watch them, I think if you could imagine like my beats or like my album being like a movie, I would want them to be shot as if Spike was shooting it. So that allows me like watching his stuff, Shutter Island, old films like Quentin Tarantino shit like Pulp Fiction, stuff like that, Midsommar, scarier movies are like more thrillers. Those allow me to kind of really get into like a bag, because film is like to me like one of the most extraordinary mediums, because if you're able to really create a good film, like you really did that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And even like a Hype Williams, like going back to Belly and stuff like that. Like it wasn't a great movie from like a script standpoint, but like from a visual standpoint, it was like one of the best things we've all ever seen. So, I think what influences the music isn't just films or anything like that. Photos, still moments where there's no cameras involved with my friends, and we're just at my house, and we just made 10 beats, or we're just chilling and not even on that. We're just like chilling, watching The Sopranos, smoking spliffs, like things that are really real, like breakups and heartbreak and relationships that might be hindered from childhood with your parents and stuff like that. Like things are really like real influence my music. I can't if you listen to the stuff I rap about, it's encrypted language for me, but it's a lot of the stuff is real. It's just it's an exaggerated native. Native to me is just a very over exaggerated me.
Okay.
So it's like for instance, like the confidence that you gotta have on the mic. Like Jalen, me, like I don't necessarily have that type of confidence on a day to day, but Native is gonna have it every day. Native is gonna come with the oomph to make those beats and in that room with those artists that need it. Like it's kind of separating it. I don't think Kanye West feels like Ye all the time.
Right.
I think Kanye West knows when he's Kanye and when he has to be Ye. And all of those things, like like issues and happy times and things that you can't really the things that you can't measure in life, like things that just happen to you, but you're like, why did that happen? Like especially like losing my eye is a big influence to my music. The unknown of like not understanding why certain things happen, but still having to push through and get on with it.
Right.
That influences the music a lot.
Okay. Well said, man. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. If you could change anything about the current state of hip hop and rap, what do you think it would be? And I mean from an underground standpoint, not really mainstream.
Yeah. I think I think I would try to. Wait, ask that again. I'm sorry.
Is there anything that you would change
Change?
about the current state of the underground scene right now?
Yes, and then no. Like yes, in the sense, I think the underground scene has shifted to being so essential to making like the mainstream respect all aspects of the music that we're all making. No, in the sense of like, I feel like the underground scene is so niche though. Like I don't think everybody like the underground scene doesn't have to be like so raunchy and like glorifying like bullshit. Think about like the underground like drill scene or whatever. I think sometimes like we're just kind of glorifying like things that aren't really relevant to like the human experience. And I think underground gets a bad rap sometimes for like not being able to break through to like the mainstream sounds and shit, but I love the fact that underground music is experimental, so I wouldn't change that. I wouldn't really change like how it's being made. I would say as a consumer, we should change how we listen to underground music. I don't think underground music is like if you listen to like Xavier Soul Based, like his early shit, like it was like super hard to listen to like the average listener. They don't know like what the fuck, like they don't get it. I think like the underground is only gonna go as far as like the consumer like buying into the artist and like really doing their research and like respecting it. But what I will say, like, I don't know if you could change the landscape of it. I don't know what I would change about it. What I would encourage people to do that are not trying to just listen to mainstream music and tap into like the Mikes, the Theravadas, Navy Blues.
Yante.
Yeah. What you should do, if they have a show, if they have merch, they have a vinyl, instead of thinking about your relationship and your money that you're kicking up to that artist to listen to an album that they're not going to put on DSPs for free, instead of thinking about like you're paying for something, a service or good, like you should think about the art being you're paying for tribute to the artist. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going into the show, and I learned about this from this book I was reading. But I went to this indie show in Bushwick, and it's a fucking indie show in Bushwick. Like to the average consumer of underground music, and that is still considered underground. Like the indie parts and the underground is a big thing. It's not just rap, but sometimes people will look and like make a face to like having to pay to even see the artist. But really, like if you think about a lot of these artists, even the mainstream people like a Mike, Earl, I'm sure Earl is getting a fraction of what he's worth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
From like these companies and businesses and corporations that feed off of underground niche artists. And like if we as the consumers that respect these underground artists and want to be in the same space, maybe not making the music or whatever, but just being in the space to relate, pay tribute instead of trying to pay them. I don't think any underground artist really gives a fuck about the bread. They just want you to listen to their music.
Mm-hmm.
So 100, it's a lot more valuable just to, listen to the album front to back. If anybody listens to my album, listen to it front to back. We worked hard to get the timestamps right, the fucking voiceovers in the movies and the voice memos we use. Like, listen to things and pay attention and take your time with the underground artists. That's what I would change for the consumer standpoint. In terms of what artists should do differently, I honestly don't know.
Okay. One more question about the underground scene. You do have something called homeroom radio that I wanted you to kind of dive into for the people that may not know about it.
So homeroom radio is something that started during COVID. It's a platform for emerging artists, to say the least. And our goal is to create, outside community events, connect with BIPOC artists, so Black minority artists that are looking to get their music discovered. And eventually homeroom radio is going to change into tapping with designers and stylists, but I think for now we're just going to focus on music. And it's super unbiased. We're not looking for rap. We're not looking at just like Latino, reggaeton. Like, we're looking at all aspects of genres of music. And the goal of that platform I created was for because me as an underground artist, I feel like sometimes when you reach out to these blogs and these fucking write-ups and you want to go to a show, it's kind of like it's even gatekept in a sense because you have to know people to know how to get into certain spaces. I want homeroom to be just a very inclusive. I make art. I could present it to homeroom, and we could, and if we, it aligns with our integrity and morals, then we'll help you put it out. That's really the only goal of it.
Okay.
As of right now.
And are there any, just staying on the topic of this, are there any big plans for homeroom radio for this year? Any events or anything for the people that may want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so me and David, Machine 6, started a project called Cathedral FM, which is a side project presented by Homeroom Radio at Epcot Live. And it's basically, I don't know if you have ever tuned into like Earl and Knowledge did the Red Bull radio show, and they're just playing like all types of music. It's kind of like a spin-off of that. Like we're just two guys, DJ board, playing sounds, underground artists from London, Ethiopia, fucking South America, like Dominican Republic, anywhere. Like we're just fucking looking for people that are making good music so we could just show the world. And our job is to just make our platform big enough so we can help you guys.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. My fault.
No, that's like the only real premise of what we're doing for that. But yeah, we're going to be doing some events. We've done events in the past, collaborated like Sweets and Sounds and stuff like that. But right now, I think the biggest focus is getting the stream off the ground.
Okay.
And I think homeroom radio to me is like a 20-year project. It's one of my longer projects I got working on. So I'm not like I'm not necessarily like pressed for time to like make it pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Parting questions here. What should we expect from you this year in terms of things that you can announce that you know?
A follow-up album from Leave Me Here to Rest. No title yet. Definitely gonna look out for that. Hearing Be Still My Heart Side C. The final extension of that project is coming out this year. And Clouds 2 is coming out this year.
That's gonna confuse people that can't access the first one.
Yeah. I want to do something like I drop Clouds, like I remaster it and drop it on DSPs, but I think that's a good point too. It might confuse people, so maybe we won't do. Maybe it might be like the official Clouds that's out on DSPs, but I'm thinking Clouds 2 or something in regards to the first project. It's been almost 10 years since that project came out, so I think it's time to go back to the roots. I think this year, what you guys could expect from me is like going back to those older projects and maybe doing additions to them.
Okay.
But definitely a second rap album, and you could look out for Place for Sale for me and Lay Jones. Those are like the few projects I know that are definitely gonna come out this year. Dodi Me Says 2 Deluxe might be coming out, but that's not determined yet.
Okay. And are there any parting words, shout outs?
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to Eagz580, Dodi Pangea, Machine 6, Nearby Violence, aka Metal Gear, aka Senpai Quincy. I want to give a shout out to Sensei Batch. I want to say Free the Guys. Shout out my man Mike, Dax Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Hold your head up. And I really want to give a big shout out to Mike. I mean, like, without him being tapped in the way he is, like a lot of the interviews that y'all see for these artists that you guys are loving right now, he's going out in the field, doing his due diligence, doing his research, coming prepared, you know, and it goes back to kind of like that underground talk we're having, like, just you're able to refine your process. I've seen you since 2018 be doing this, and you started off probably like a Canon or some shit doing it. So I mean, like you've elevated your process, and I can't like appreciate it enough. The man that left, Tyler Luke, Juice Boys. Shout out to all the Juice Boys. And yeah, the only thing I will say, if you're an artist and you are looking to get into something like this, you know, don't let anybody and yourself tell you that you can't. You could do anything, and it's just a matter of trying. Really, that's all it is. It's the only advice I can give the young people right now.
Yeah. Well, shit. I appreciate your time. I appreciate having me here, and
I appreciate you having me here, man. I appreciate it.
I always love, man. And oh, my hands are a little sweaty, very sweaty actually. But shit, yeah, it's been chopping up with Visionary. Check out everything that he's dropping this year. Go do that again.
We're dropping Place for Sale, Wave Jones. I'm dropping a follow-up album to Leave Me Here to Rest. It's funny that Quincy just walked in here. I got an EP that I'm working on with Q, 4-song EP. But me and Q got a lot of shit we're working on. And then the big one that's like is Be Still My Heart, the conclusion, side C. That's like what I'm working on right now. And Clouds 1 or 2, depending on how Mike feels about it. Yeah.
Well, shit. This is Native. I'm Mike the Visionary. This has been Chopping It Up with Visionary. See y'all soon.
Checking out.